What's up, everybody? It's your favorite dumpster juice's favorite nerd, and today we are looking at the KFC Junkions. This is Scraps and Castoff. This is on loan to me from Robert D. I could have done these both separately, but I feel like it would just get redundant. I've shown the transformation from robot to motorcycle already and from motorcycle to robot already with the first two releases that they put out, so I just don't feel the need to go through it here. I'm sure there are a couple of minor differences engineering-wise, but I don't think it's going to be enough to warrant a full transformation video. So we're going to show them, we're going to talk about some of the new changes, we're going to talk about some of the differences with the old releases, we're going to talk about the difference in paint deco between them, but first we're going to talk about accessories. So they both come with a set of wheels. Obviously they're both done nice. This one has the silver paint inside with the orange spikes that look good. This one has the yellow paint, which once again I feel like is a little intense, but it's fine. And then the gray, I think the tire is painted on this. I don't know, it almost feels like that's a rubber, but I can't exactly tell. Either way, they both look good. And they can plug in anywhere that has the 5mm port, so shoulder, forearm, knee, and backpack. If you move this out, you could put them there too if you want. You could probably even get them in where the knee is there. Like, just, you know, the world is your oyster. They each come with a set of shoulder pads. The one with the yellow paint has this silver bit down here and the orange stripe, whereas the other one has the orange and kind of brown bit there. Both different and unique, so that's gonna help break them up a bit on your shelf. And then you just attach them to the shoulder, and theoretically you could have them either way. I like the stacks pointing up. But you could also put them wherever you have a 5mm port. And same for this guy. This, I think I'll like a little bit of symmetry. And then we have a handful of weapons. We have this melee weapon, which is very iconic, I feel like. And this is actually done fairly clever. It's gray plastic here, pin, 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 pin. So it kind of gives it the chain look without giving it a real chain, but you'll be able to like kind of, you know, keep some tension on it and pose it, which is smart. I dig that an awful lot. And then the axe blade. And then you have the gun, which is big and dumb, but that's probably accurate. I'll take their word for it, with silver paint applications applied to it and pegs, so once again, you can plug it in wherever you see fit. This one I believe we've seen before. I think the other ones had this one. Just a gun, nice sculpted detail, silver paint added, good enough. And they hold them just fine in typical Masterpiece style peg into the palm fashion. You also get extra little spiky bits. You get two just soft plastic ones, and then two that's like this, and this bit can come in and energize. This sits in between and kind of fills the void or whatever. The other ones came with the same thing. They fit in the same 5mm ports, like right there with the ensemble one, or perhaps the little soft one on the knee. And they will kind of smush up. I'm getting a little bit of pushback here. Let me see if this one here on the side of the knee is any better. Yeah, there you go. And I'm gonna put all of these away now so I don't lose any of them, but you get 4 different options for each figure. And of course you can use any of the same holes in alt mode to kind of store your weapons along the way. Same goes for the gun, spikes, even shoulder pads. Lastly, Castoff, I believe, comes with this piece of wire mesh. I'm guessing there's a reason for it. I'm not exactly sure. It does have some elasticity to it, like you can move it about. I don't know if it's for a display. You can bend it up and shape it a little bit. I'm not entirely sure. It's not covered in the instructions. I'm sure that somebody has shown it online and how it works, and somebody will let me know in the comments, I'm sure, but I am not sure about this. So I can just tell you that it's made nice enough. It makes me actually want to use it for a diorama, but I have to remember this doesn't belong to me. Gimmick wise, they still have the same swap out feature where you can use the different arms and stuff between them and kind of mess them up as you see fit. So we're gonna cover this guy because I got more to say about him. First of all, both of them are having an issue when manipulating any part of the arm, well, this one in particular, that the chest piece is coming undone. It's not an issue on this side, but as you just saw, it's an issue on both and on the same arm. So just something to be mindful of, I suppose. I think that this yellow is a little intense, and it's distracting. And it's on his knees as well, and I don't care for it much. I also don't care for the head sculpt a lot, but I haven't done a whole lot of research into the character to see if it's accurate, but I don't like how indented the mouth looks. Other than that, the silver paint up there looks great. The red eyes look great. The kind of details around all of this look great, like the little mirrors here and then the black bits on the spikes. It is on a ball peg, so you get up to there. down to there, and the swivel, no real confused dog look. Let's see. So for the arm, we'll do this one because it's easier. 90 degrees, ratcheted forward and back. It looks like it would be soft ratcheted up and down, but it's not. Then we have a bicep swivel, a double jointed elbow. The fingers are individually articulated on a base pen knuckle, and then they have typewriter fingers, and then the thumb operates independently on a ball peg connected to a hinge. And then we have the chest. So we have some really nice silver paint on here, and then the orange as well. And we have a waist swivel that's ratcheted. For the hips, we have these plastic bits. This is that softer plastic they sometimes use. I'm not a huge fan of it. We have universals for hips. It gets you out to there. Because of the die cast in the legs, the tension doesn't quite hold it perfectly. I'm not sure if that'll be an issue or not, but worth pointing out. And then forward and back, it's ratcheted to there. Thigh swivel at a cut joint with the silver paint that once again looks beautiful. Single hinge knee, gets you 90 degrees. It is a little off-putting with the plastic disc in the center there that's a different color than the silver. Yellow, once again, a little off-putting as well. It is this like speckled plastic down here. I don't believe that's paint. And then the feet are painted orange and yellow. You get an ankle tilt down, basically. It's a toe tilt, honestly, but the toe is so big, it's like the whole foot. And then a heel spur that can operate independently, and a rocker that's pretty significant. And then there he is from the back. So, you know, much like the previous release, it's a pretty solid effort. We won't go over the articulation on him, but we can cover some of the deco points. Once again, the paint where they add it down here looks great, but it doesn't match. But for some reason, this doesn't bother me like the silver. I think it's because you can tell the silver is supposed to be intentionally silver. This looks like more Junkion, right? Like it should be bits and scraps of different pieces. This one doesn't bother me. I don't know what to tell you. Otherwise, nothing really to write home about. I like the face sculpt of this one much more, and the antenna look good. We'll compare them with the originals. My only kind of thing with this one is it's very similar to Retgar, that I just don't know how much it'll stand out on a shelf. But everything else is the same. Feet are painted the same. Pretty much the same. But I wanted to point out the paint difference and how I felt about it regarding the legs. So there they are all together so far, and I do think it's cool, man, how they're like all different enough where they don't all look like a just reuse of the same mold. Like, it is pretty clever stuff they're doing here. There's a ton of different display options, and as a result, they all have a bit of character. If I had to pick one that seemed the most redundant, it's certainly going to be our boy back here that looks a lot like Retgar. But even little things like swapping out shoulder pads and the placement of your wheels on the figure give it a whole new look, plus a couple extra weapons. So I can't commend them enough for that. Like, I wouldn't have thought this was necessarily possible to make them all look so unique, but they do, and they look good together. So bravo. And they don't use the stupid hands anymore. They got rid of, I just noticed that I've been trying to pose these guys and their weapons keep falling out of their little fimbly fingers, that even though we got typewriter hands, at least they're more controlled. And there they are, and they pretty much transform exactly the same as the other ones. The only difference is this piece here, and I didn't collapse those side pieces, but this side piece here that sits in front of the calf, or the shin, you just have to move it to the side, and then it just sits loosey-goosey along the side here. No big deal. But yeah, I mean, you know, and they're cool, and they've always been cool. You got the kickstands down here at the bottom. You know, you can plug all your weapons in and stuff. I'm gonna take off some of them just for the sake of showing you. You know, even with the spikes, they will roll. You know, I've always thought this set was a pretty good set. It was around the time where KFC started changing, in my opinion, like their product and what I expected from them, my expectations and their reputation in my mind started changing around this time, and I think they look good, man. I think they do a good job. I'll also say that this component with the handlebars and stuff, still a pain in the ass. 100% still a pain in the balls. Like, I hated it before, I hate it now. Still sucks. Some of the other stuff that I remember irritating me before didn't so much this time, like the saddlebags here. But maybe it's just that I've gotten better at this, or maybe they've gotten better, or maybe both are true. But this, still not good. Tiger Tracks. Final thoughts wise, let's start with the negatives. I think there are some things they should have fixed. For one being the handlebars. That could easily be fixed if it had a couple more hinges. You've had the time. Everybody was pretty much on board with it needed to be redesigned, and it hasn't been, and it's still a pain in the balls. I appreciate the change in the fingers. However, I don't like typewriter fingers, so we're not quite there yet, but we're getting closer. Maybe the next set. And honestly, and then a couple little weird tolerance things like that chest flap flipping up whenever you go to articulate the shoulder, stuff like that. That's just some strange stuff. But all in all, though, that's really all I have to say. I like these sets, man. I always have. There's die cast. I like the transformation overall. They're articulated. I love the integration of the different accessories, weapons, all those components that you could take on, take off in order to give a very dynamic and surprisingly unique and diverse looking set as you're building more of these. I am happy with how they're turning out. I do think they're good. I do think they're sculpted well for the most part. I do think they're articulated well for the most part, painted well for the most part. All the appropriate accessories and gimmicks and such to make this set a lot of fun, rather. So yeah, still a recommend for me. It was back in the day, it still is now. They are starting to feel a bit dated by today's standards, so it's a great time to get them out now because I don't know how it'll feel in a couple more years, but for now I think they still kind of work. Thanks for listening, thanks for watching, until next time, take care.